Did you hear about this? Trump wants to charge tourists $250 to set foot in the United States? This couldn't come at a worse time. Since Trump has taken office, there's been a 15% decline in international arrivals, and we're forecasted to lose 65 billion in tourism spending. People are not coming to this country because of Trump, his policies, and his rhetoric. And his solution is to start to charge them $250 if they want to come here? This is going to crush the already hurting tourism industry. Keep in mind, most countries charge around $5. I don't know. I just don't understand his thinking. It's like he's purposely trying to alienate the U.S. from the rest of the world while hurting our economy. Yes, the government will take in more revenue, but at the expense of restaurants, transportation, events, shopping, and jobs. This has been attempted by other countries in the past, and it's failed. And there's tons of supporting data to prove it. So why is he doing this? If you're in any of these industries, hold on tight. This is going to be a rough ride. And let me know what you think. And smash that follow button to stay in the loop.
Tourism has been one of the backbones of a society, with the revenues drawn from it helping in building the infrastructures of a country. So countries like the United States are some of the states that have been dependent on these ventures. So when Trump builds policies that affect tourism in the country, people feel that this is wrong and this is uncalled for, and we have to stand bold in defending our country and the United States for being placed under policies that would affect its economy. In this video, I'll show you the reactions of different people on the policies that the Trump administration are trying to instill on the United States tourism sector and affecting its operation. So let us watch this and react to it in the end.
Trump is tanking US tourism, absolutely tanking it. There was a report out at the end of February saying, and this was from Tourism Economics, saying that instead of growing by 8.8%, tourism in the US was projected to decline by 5.1%. But that was in February, right? So much has happened since in terms of stories of tourists being maltreated that really is going to change the dynamics, I'm sure of it. I've got some stories here that I've written down about one French scientist, 3 Germans, a Canadian and a Brit, that I just want to take you through so that you understand what is happening here, because these are stories that are now going wild through the Western press, right? So first of all, the French scientist, this is probably the most recent story. He was denied entry to the US because he got there. They decided to search his phone and search his laptop. They found him having communicated sympathy with US scientists in terms of how Donald Trump has been treating the US science community, and decided that this was comparable to terrorism. And so he got turned around and sent back. Okay, and French government has been complaining about that. But he got off, luckily, to just be accused of terrorism and denied entry. Because let's now talk about the 3 Germans, all of whom have been detained by ICE. So firstly, there's Jessica, the tattoo artist, and that was a big story everywhere because she was kept for what? Over a month or something, including solitary detention, absolutely moved from place to place. Her friends and family utterly terrified before she finally got released. For what? For taking some tattoo kit through border. She was treated like that. Then there's the next German, Lucas, a fiance of an American, and he was detained by ICE for 2 weeks. Then we have Fabian, the electrical engineer, a green card holder who was violently interrogated, stripped naked, pushed into a cold shower, and again he was detained, I think, for a couple of weeks or something like that. Let's now move on to the Canadian. Her name is Jasmine. She actually wrote a piece in the British press describing her shocking treatment. She was held for 12 days. She didn't know why. She was arrested. She was always told that they didn't know how long she was going to be kept. She was thrown in a coal cell with lots of other people, and they didn't have the lights on for 2 days. None of them knew what to do. It was a freezing room, and essentially she only got released when she got released. Imagine how terrifying that is. And then there's the story of the Brit. Her name was Rebecca. She had 3 weeks of horrendous treatment also, and she's now back home in Wales, but she said she was treated as if she were Hannibal Lecter. She was chained by the wrists, around the waist, and in the ankles. She couldn't walk without the help of an ICE officer. What the crap is this? Because it's been reported now that Germany is monitoring this situation very closely because of this incident with their 3 citizens. They want to see what it means for others. And of course, the French government has already responded about their scientist. And in fact, the French government are already saying, American scientists, we know what you're going through. You're welcome to come and work here. Okay? But think what this means, not just for American tourism, but American businesses, because much of the international travel is business meetings as well. Think about any American or global organization that would want to host an international meeting. You wouldn't host it in the States for fear of some of your visitors being abused on entry, not just turned back, abused on entry and accused of being terrorists and so forth. That is terrifying. And so that is going to tank not only the US tourism industry, but so many other industries that operate internationally and want to have international business traffic to do their business, to have visitors or to host events. It's going to blow it all. And a third of the inbound traffic to America is Western Europe. A third is Western Europe. Not all of Europe, just Western Europe. Eastern Europeans will be feeling the same, looking at this dynamic. And then what do you think Canadians are going to feel, and other Commonwealth countries? And all of these countries are predominantly white. So what do you think Middle Eastern potential tourists would think about going to the States at the moment, or those in Latin America, seeing how their Latino colleagues have also been treated by Donald Trump, let alone Africa or let alone Asia, right? So, but on top of this, if this is how Donald Trump treats his allies or ex-allies, he is also lining up another travel ban of 43 countries, which are those that are not America's, I will now say, ex-allies. So where's the tourism going to come from? Where's the business traffic going to come from? Trump is absolutely isolating America. Now, I wouldn't want to go to America at this stage, absolutely not. I feel 10 times safer going to Ukraine, which is what I did last week, than going to America. I would not go there now for fear of my phone being searched. And it's questionable whether they can search your phone. Apparently, they can't demand your password, but they could absolutely abuse you if you didn't hand it over. But would I go to America with this phone here? Is this that I'm recording to you now, would that be considered anti-Trump propaganda and therefore terrorism, which would bang me up? Listen, I spent 2 years growing up in America. I went to school on those little yellow buses. Yes, I did. But I would not go there now. And there will be many, many people right around the world that will think similarly. So I have never seen a country fall so fast in terms of its support from the rest of the world, in terms of its attractiveness to talent and to business and to engagement with the rest of the world. Never seen it like this. America at the moment is in free fall. It is absolutely plummeting. And I feel deeply for all of those good Americans there that don't know what to do right now. But we'll get through this. We'll find a way, but there needs to be pressure on the inside as well as the rest of the world applying pressure from the outside. But you can kiss America's tourism industry goodbye, at least while Donald Trump is in power. But then a lot of habits are going to be wired deep by all of this.
Right, everybody needs to calm down and stop panicking, because I've seen so much in the Disney forums this morning about the $250 visa fee that people think they're going to have to pay if they go on holiday to Florida. That is not the case. If you haven't seen the news already, Donald Trump will be passing a bill that means anybody that's traveling to the US will have to pay a $250 visa integrity fee. But this is not anybody. This is just for those that are traveling there on a visa. If you're traveling on an ESTA, which is what most people do when they go there on holiday, then you won't have to pay the fee. So let's break down the difference between an ESTA and a visa. A visa means that you're planning on staying there to work. And if you're planning on staying there to work, then you either need to get citizenship so you can stay there, or you need to leave when your visa expires. However, if you are planning on traveling to the USA for a holiday, then you need an ESTA. So an ESTA is an electronic stay of authorization, which means that you let them know how long you're planning on staying in the US for, and then you leave. So we'll need to just calm down and keep on booking those holidays. For more Florida tips, please drop us a follow down here, and we will see you on the next video.
Donald Trump is calling to deport U.S. citizens who were born here. Yep, out loud, he said that maybe it's time to get rid of some of the people who were born here. Now, he's referring to criminals and people who do very bad things. I guess that doesn't apply to 34 felonies. But yes, that is where we're at here in the US today. We have a president calling for the deportation of US citizens. This comes on the heels of him visiting a migrant detention center in the Everglades that is referred to as Alligator Alcatraz, where he has said that the alligators can do their job and deal with any escapees. If that is not cruel and unusual punishment, I don't know what is. So this is what we're dealing with here in the US. We have a completely unhinged president who does not care about the Constitution whatsoever. And we are only in the first.
Trump's tariffs and political rhetoric are already impacting a multi-billion-dollar industry, tourism.
The bulk of my specific tour guests come from Canada. Every single trip so far has 0 bookings.
They said they just didn't want to spend their money here in the United States.
That's Megan Murad and Kelly Kopp. They're both New York City tour guides who have had multiple tours from Canadian visitors canceled. Tour guides across the country are hearing the same thing. Canadians specifically citing Trump's policies like making Canada the 51st state as the reason for the change of travel plans.
Canadians make up the largest number of foreign travelers to the United States. 20.4 million of them visited the United States last year, which generated $20.5 billion in spending, which supported 140,000 jobs. The U.S. Travel Association says that a decrease of 10% of that tourism will cost $2.1 billion and cut 14,000 jobs.
The 5 most visited states by Canadians are Florida, California, Nevada, New York, and Texas. And this decline is trickling down to the airlines. Canadian airlines are cutting thousands of seats on US-bound flights this month.
In terms of my personal losses, it's at least $400 a week. One of my top weeks in tourism, I could be making $2,000, $3,000 a week specifically through Canadian tourism. And I have a relatively small boutique business.
Beyond Canada, Trump's policies and target on longtime allies are causing European countries to issue travel advisories. Portugal, Denmark, and Finland warned its citizens of coming to the U.S. because of Trump's attack on transgender rights. Germany and the U.K. also warned its citizens because of the U.S.'s immigration crackdown. And all of these changes have already caused Oxford's tourism to amend their U.S. travel forecast for this year. The U.S. was originally expected to see an 8.8 growth in tourism, but now it's set to see a 5.1 decline.
People ask me questions, where to go, what show to go see, what restaurants to go see. They want to spend their money here in New York City. It's a big part of our country's income.
Right now, the United States is slated to host the Summer Olympics, World Pride, the World Cup. And I foresee all of those events happening. But as these major events that bring in a lot of tourists, these large organizations are going to choose to not book, to not use the United States as a hosting venue, which will impact tourism in a negative way.
A decline of tourists means a decline in spending on U.S. businesses, which means Main Street will soon be feeling the impact in the decline of travel.
So Donald Trump is now requiring tourists who wish to visit the United States to pay a $250 visa integrity fee. Yes, I'm dead serious. Under the big budget bill that Trump recently signed into law, tourists from around the world who want to travel to the United States, who want to spend time in the United States, will likely have to pay a $250 fee on top of their airfare, on top of their lodging. This may or may not get reimbursed depending on certain qualifications, but the fact of the matter is tourists around the world are now facing an additional $250 to travel to Trump's America. And by the way, that's going to bring tourism down for the United States. That's going to hurt our economy, and likely other nations may increase their visa fees as well to counter Donald Trump, and this may make traveling more expensive for everybody. Turns out traveling is only possible if you're part of the wealthy elite. $250 may not seem like a lot, but that's $250 more that you now have to pay to travel to the United States.
With the Trump building this policy that imposes a $250 on visa visits, then it means that the number of tourists who will be trickling in America will go down. What does this mean to the economy? It means that although he will collect a lot from a single tourist, but the number would drastically go down, and with the reduced number, then the businessmen will highly be affected, because there are hotels who wants people to stay in their rooms, because that is what they depend on. There are people who are employed by these hotels. They might lose jobs because there are no customers, or there are no people visiting their premises. Another thing is the small businesses like groceries and foodstuffs. These tourists are highly the businesses are highly dependent on tourists, and they collect their revenues from high visits, a good number of visits, unlike when you restrict the number who will visit the United States. So Trump's policy is one of the ugliest, or rather not timely, in terms of building the economy of America. And it is time he's told that he might see that he is placing America in order, or rather his policy, as he has always stated, that making America great again. But the steps he's taking are not so much friendly, and would largely affect the economic growth of the country. So he has to rethink. The advisors have also a good work to do, or a lot of work to do, in terms of creating order in America and ensuring that American man becomes a priority, because that is what he said he stands for. I know it's against the black move to America, but it's not about a racial segregation thing. It's about building an economy that everyone will be proud about. So if you're watching this video, I want you to share your thought on this Trump's $250 policy on visas of tourists visiting America. And also, if you're watching us for the first time, kindly consider making a subscription, because if you subscribe, we get a chance to interact with you more. Do not also forget to share, because it will reach a wider audience. This is what we have to discuss today, because many executive orders has been implemented by Trump. He has signed a lot of executive orders that people don't feel fit for America at this time. Tell us what you think, and let us engage more on this channel. Thank you, and may God bless you.